All right, what we're gonna do right now is a little bit of a tree. For the reference, I have I googled wildlife painting trees, and you can do wildlife painting anything, and they do a really good job with trees. For the colors of the trees, a lot of people go, this is like a dark brown. A lot of people go too much brown though. So to add that, I'm gonna add blue to it. A little bit of cream color, a little bit of gray, a little bit of white, and black. And you could even use some other colors as well. So this is like a minimum palette. So this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 or 5 colors. I would say about minimum for most things. Because you want to have a variety of colors when you put them in there. Now what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to start with a light glaze. So this time I'll start with a light glaze going up and down, vertical strokes, and it's okay if I don't go more than one direction. So this time, even though you normally want to go more than one direction, with trees, if you still see the pencil strokes, it's okay because it just looks like bark texture. So this is my first layer right here. And I'll start with this, my shadow side. So it'll be a little bit darker. I'll just a little strip right here. And coming over, small strokes. I'll even go ahead and let some of the white paper show through. And to make it look three-dimensional, what I'm going to do is have the lightest part right about here, and then I'll go a little bit darker on this side. So that'll make it like a cylinder almost. So it's going to be, so it's not going to be quite as flat. So if you have the highlight on one side only, it won't really work as a highlight and shadow. It won't look three-dimensional. So I'm going to go darker on this side, and then lightest right there in the middle, and go quite a bit darker on this side over here. This is like a medium glaze to like a light glaze, more or less. And on the branches, like right here, I'm going to change directions and follow the tree, the branch all the way out. And then I'll go super light on this side over here, scrub that down a little bit, come up here, same thing, repeat that. And once again, I might add the brown back in again, but right now this is like one layer. So I have the one layer there going on there, so that's halfway decent. And if it doesn't turn out that great at first, with all the layers you can add on there, you can add more to the sides or whatever you want. So that's one, that's brown. Now I'll do another light brown. So now I have 2 browns. You don't want to go too brown though, otherwise they'll look kind of fake. So this is a really light glaze now that I'm putting on there. And always write down like a little test, like test it in your sketchbook. Make sure you're going to like the way it looks. If it doesn't, you can adjust it, do another practice one, maybe using different color combinations or maybe the same colors, but maybe a different order with heavy glazes and medium glazes. And like everything else, we're going to start off smooth and then add texture later. So I'm going to start off nice and smooth here. I'll make it smooth as I can. So right now you can still see all the pencil strokes though. Now I'm going to go back in. I'll do a little bit of blue for the shadows. This is to get rid of some of that brown. Blue and brown are complementary colors. So in the shadow area, I'm going to go ahead and even crush it a little bit more. So this is like a medium to heavy glaze. So now, as you can see, it's getting rid of that brown using a complementary color to brown. And locking that in there. And then I'll do some of the blue on the other side as well. On this side, some blue even in the middle. I'll go a slightly different direction, but not too much. And I'll make it smooth at first, then I'll add the bark texture later using like either a black or a dark brown pencil. Okay, so far it still looks like a drawing though, as you can see. Now I'll come in, I'll do like a heavy glaze of gray. So heavy glaze of gray. Now I'm actually going to crush it pretty hard. So I'm going to get rid of all those pencil strokes. So as you can see now, it's starting to get smooth. So it's smooth, and when you're done, you shouldn't see any white spots from the paper. So it's going to go from this to that. And then this is, even if you're not doing trees, it's kind of always nice to see how other textures can be doing. And just a little bit here, I'll do some skin tone too, to show you how to do some skin. Once again, it's going to be all about the same process, using a lot of different colors and value changes, contrast, and what have you. And I'll gray this out, so the smaller the branches, the less texture. So this will end up staying pretty smooth on this side. And more or less, all in the direction of the branches here. And I'll do a nice clean edge on the bottom. So your edges are really important to keep clean. So you could do like a skinny line, going all the way, outline it almost. Now I blended it in, so now it's all just kind of grayish. Now I'll come in with the highlight, white pencil, and I'll crush that right there in the middle to get that sense of highlight. All right. That's pretty smooth. I'll do the same thing on the top of here. As far as I won't be able to see the white, but it's there. So now that if I have that, I'll go back in with maybe a little bit of dark brown and black. So I'll use a little bit of black here at first. And the patterns for the, look at them like H's more or less, I's, zigzags, but those are the patterns I'm putting in there. So in here, I'll come in here with the little tiny lines, getting the texture in there, all like almost like a hatching or cross hatching technique. And even in the highlights, I could use more or less the brown. I'll keep the black for the texture on the shadow sides, and then the highlight sides, I might use more of a brown instead of a black. As it curves up here, you're gonna be able to see that coming up. So curving that in there so it blends in. And right now it looks like you can actually see the lines. And we'll get rid of that with some gray. So now I'll come back in a little bit of the brown, and then I'll go over some of the texture with the brown. Just kind of blend it in so it's not too obvious. So I'm lightly glazing it. Now we'll go back into the gray again, and I'm going to soften it by going over the texture. You can still see the texture, but it's not so predominant. So it's kind of like a little in the background, more or less. Okay, so then I'll get rid of some of these too. So it's all about the layers. Now I'm just doing like a really thin light glaze over it. So you're just gonna go until you like the looks of the texture. All right, so then after I have that, you can add some like character marks, I like to call them. So I'll do a little split right here. So it's gonna be like a darker little void, like a little split in the wood itself. So just right there, it's kind of like a dark glaze. And if you have a split in the wood, like right there, on the left side, on this side over here, if the light source is here, then on the left side of everything you put in there, I'll do even a brighter highlight right here on the side. And it could use a sharper pencil, but that's okay. Then now that I have the highlight here next to the shadow, it kind of looks like an open split to the wood. And when you're looking at that from far away, you can kind of see that up close. You can see it even a little bit better. You can see the texture in there going all the way up, nice and light, and that's a little tree for you.